What's going on, everybody? Welcome to West Nale Virus. We are your hosts, Caleb Nale and Josiah West. We're bringing you all the sports topics for this year and for the foreseeable future, I should say. This is a brand new sports show that is catered towards, one, college sports fans, but myself being from the Central Valley in California, we're going to cater it towards you guys, as well as Georgia, because that's where Josiah West is from. So we got the Josiah Dalton area. There's no name for it. It's not Central Valley. It's not as cool as the Central Valley. You know, we have this.
It's the carpet capital of the world, baby.
Carpet capital of the world. I think Walking Dead was there at one point.
Yeah, Walking Dead was filmed here. I think there have been a couple of things filmed around here, but
it's a scary place. It can be. It can be.
Yeah, carpet and zombies is what we've got. So
yeah, you can't hear them sneaking up on you because of the carpet. But we have a good show for you today. We have a lot of college football talk, NFL talk, and then we also are going to talk international soccer. So Josiah and I are big international soccer fans, and we are starting something new. We are going to update you on Yeovil Town. Yeovil Town is a team in the English Soccer League way down below. Like, you think Wrexham is low? Yeovil Town is lower than that. But we're going to have updates every Monday and Wednesday because they play on Sundays and Tuesdays, or Saturdays and Tuesdays. We're going to have updates whenever Yeovil Town plays. We're going to have updates here.
And the reason we're having Yeovil Town updates is Yeovil Town has been one of our favorite teams for a very long time. They used to be in FIFA because they were in the EFL League 2, English Football League 2, and they dropped out of that league, I think, 2 or 3 years ago now.
Long time ago. It's been downhill, man.
And so they have not been in FIFA for a long time, and right now
I refuse to buy
we're
FIFA.
Following them in their we aren't buying FIFA until Yeovil Town is back in the game. And so we're following them in their road back to the League 2 and then, to the Premier League, hopefully, but we'll settle for League 2 for now.
Yeah. But that is what you can expect from today's show, West Nale Virus. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Caleb_GoDogs. You can follow Josiah at Josiah_WNV. We're really excited for this journey. We did this in the past. Josiah's married now, and we're really it's gonna take off now. So tell someone. What we like to say is spread the virus. Tell someone. Subscribe on YouTube at West Nale Virus. And when you go on YouTube, it's going to recommend you West Nile Virus. Just click the search for West Nale Virus.
Yeah, Nale. Really have to specify to them. You aren't searching for the actual virus. You're searching for us.
Right.
They don't believe you at first, but just tell them a couple of times and they'll get that.
All right, Josiah, before we get started, tell me about the weekend, man. How was everything? Jam
weekend's
football?
been. Oh yeah. Tons of football, tons of fall activities. It's fall right now and I'm married, so fall activities.
She has a honey-do list for you now. Yeah, that's it. That's the activities, right? All right.
Yeah.
Newlyweds. I had the same thing this weekend. We put in sod. I did almost the entire thing by myself. I am so sore. I have not worked out in a while. I need to get back in shape. My biceps are sore. I was using my legs to lift everything. They're about 40-pound rolls. So I was doing a squat every time. My legs, biceps, I'm softy, but I feel good. Finished the backyard. This is a new place now, this house. So
heck yeah. I can't
I'm
wait
really
to see
excited.
it next time I'm in your side of the world.
it's ready for us to play some ball on it now. So I'm pumped.
Let's go.
All right, let's get into why you're all here. Let's talk college football. The first thing I want to start with, Josiah, is your Georgia Bulldogs.
Yes.
They played Vandy. They won, I believe, 37-20. Slow start for your Georgia Bulldogs. Are you at all, but they went down 7-0. They come back, handle things, but Carson Beck throws a pick 6, I believe. Are you at all worried after that performance? Because Vandy's a team you're supposed to handle, with ease. I believe you did, but there were holes in that Georgia team that that showed. And I'm just curious, as a Georgia football fan, what are your thoughts on that game?
I don't love the game. Obviously, I would have rather they have not scored, more than 3 or maybe 7 points. That's the max I would have been. Vandy, I'll say this: Vandy has gotten better. Has gotten better, and so they're a better team than they used to be. They're not the everyone's going to blow Vandy out by 40 team that they used to be. But it doesn't matter. They're still a lot worse than Georgia. I would have liked to see Georgia handle them a little more handily. But that
were
being
you moving
said,
into Ole Miss and Missouri?
Yes. So that's what I was going to say. Was it's not as worrying, given that I've seen Georgia do a lot of these slow starts against poor teams, come back and handle it later, and then they play at a higher level of competition against better teams. So I'm most worried about the fact that Brock Bowers is going to be having a surgery, and he's going to be out for probably a month to a month and a half, heading straight into the hardest part of our schedule. And he is our best player. He is he's the best tight end in the nation. He's
he's one of the
candidate. Yeah, he's just I love Brock Bowers. He's a great player, but yeah, I'm worried that he's going to be sitting out for the next few weeks. So hopefully some of our other players can step up. Hopefully Ladd McConkey can get back in the mix.
I will say this is a good opportunity for the wide receivers to step in, and I don't want to say step in, but now they actually have an opportunity to catch a ball. I mean, Lovett had 9 receptions for 72 yards and a touchdown. Ladd McConkey's coming back off an injury. We'll see what he can do. I'm excited for the wide receiver core, but yeah, man, for Georgia, that sucks. For top player in the nation to go down, have surgery, going to be out 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Bummer.
I hate that, but we do have other good players and other good tight ends too.
That's true. I don't think you should worry too much, Josiah. I'm from the outside looking in. I don't think you should worry too much, but there is something to be said about Georgia playing up and down to the level of competition, but they did handle business. They won.
Right.
All right. I wanted to get that done with first, because next I want to talk about the Pac-12 and the madness that is going on in the Pac-12. We need to start with Friday night. Friday night had to be the most insane game I have watched in a couple of years. Well, that's a lie, because Saturday there are a bunch of insane games. There had to be the most insane week in college football in a long time. We had multiple games where game-deciding touchdowns or scores happened under a minute to play. I mean, we saw Boise State, Colorado State, Houston, West Virginia. But then Colorado and Stanford. Colorado goes up by 29. Stanford comes back. Ellick Manor goes absolutely berserk. Sets the record for the Stanford record for yards in a game. He had 13 receptions, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Travis Hunter. First off, Josiah, let me get your overall reaction to this insane overtime win from Stanford and big comeback win. Excuse
me. My initial reaction is, one, okay, first of all, we expected Stanford to beat one team that they probably shouldn't have. And this was that game, and it was good. It was a good game. Stanford played really well, and credit to Io Manor. He destroyed Travis Hunter and the rest of the Colorado defensive backs. That being said, my other reaction is Deion Sanders needs to get his team in check, because you can say a lot about, how fun he's made everything and how, hype everything is and how, it's very excited. Everyone talks a big talk, but there's something that comes along with all that hype and all that excitement, and that's a lack of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
There were, you want to know how many penalties he had? Take a guess.
Oh.
How many penalties Colorado? 17 14. Penalties for 127 yards. 17 penalties against Stanford the other day. That's
and one
insane.
Of them, I should mention, one of them against Travis Hunter, which you could just, at that point, it was I think he just lost his mind. There was a lack of maturity with Travis Hunter. He'd been getting beat up all game, and then he gives up this dumb penalty, gets Stanford right back in the game. If I'm a Colorado fan, I'm Deion, I'm really frustrated with Travis Hunter with the way that he acted.
Yeah, well, a lot of the players. I mean, I even saw some stuff that I thought should have been penalties that weren't. Like I saw this one where this Colorado player, like after the play, was pushing one of the, like holding him like right here, is pushing him like after the play away from like the stuff.
They're just
it was annoying. Yeah, and Deion Sanders needs to get this team in check. Not only did they have 17 penalties last night or the other night, but they also have the most in the entire league. They have the most penalties per game. Second most penalties per game at 9.9. Only team below them is Colorado State with 10. But
Colorado State, really?
Yeah, I know. Surprising, isn't it? But yeah, Colorado is the second most penalty causing team
penalized
in the entire league. Yeah, no. Second most penalized team in the entire league. So Deion, look, dude. Yeah, in the entire nation. That's much better.
Yeah, no, they have to figure it out. I was thinking about this game, and I put out a tweet. Where's all the Colorado fans? And this is going to lead into a bigger discussion right now, Josiah, and then we'll get back to the Pac-12. But the casual Colorado fans, where people were trying to get on that hype train because Deion was bringing in big names and things like that, and lots of viewers, they're gone. I haven't seen them. One loss, and they're out. They're out of here. And the bigger picture is, I don't believe that these conferences are actually looking for Western time zone schools or teams on the West Coast. A lot, Pac-12 is gone. We have half moving to Big 12, half moving to Big 10. Colorado is bringing in tons of viewers earlier in the year. But it still doesn't matter, because when you talk about time zones, the time zone that is going to be watching that Colorado time zone and West Coast time zone are the West Coast football fans. Myself, you guys, East Coast, you have to stay up later. And they were staying up later for Colorado games because of the hype. But once they figured out that, oh, that's right, this Colorado team still has a long ways to go, they stopped watching. So I don't believe anymore that these conferences are looking at West Coast viewership numbers, because it still is all about the East Coast. There's just not enough eyes on college football in the West Coast. There isn't. I hate to say that. I wish there were, but it's not the case. And the only chance that you have is bringing a Deion and to bring in Lil Wayne, all these celebrities, and win. Plus, you have to win, because the second you lose, the West Coast fans are gone. It's sad,
right? Well, that's the thing is, with the way Deion does stuff, he talks a big talk, and it's, you can see it with there's a lot of players that have been like this in the past, and all kinds of sports. Conor McGregor is one that comes to mind, where he had a lot of hype. So all the bandwagoners, all the people who get really into that hype, like, oh yeah,
right,
hype beasts. They a lot of young guys is the demographic that comes to mind. They get on the train, they get on the hype train, and they're big fans until you start losing, and then your hype kind of dies down, and you lose the entire fan base that you were relying on, which is unfortunate, but it's the way it is. And the other thing is, I will say, I know there's not as many eyes on West Coast football because Caleb and I, we can't watch every single college football game, right, on Saturday. So we have to go back and watch highlights. Dude, I can't find good highlights of almost any games on the West Coast except for like the big ones. Like I can't find good highlights for like anything. I went to watch the Colorado State Boise State game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Only thing I could find was like a partial highlight reel of the game where it was like, oh, this is the crazy thing that happened in the game.
Just
like,
the ending.
But everything that happened, it was the end of the game is what it was. And that was all.
Air Force, Wyoming. Huge game over here. Very little highlights.
No highlights. Yeah.
Right. You're gonna find the USCs, you're gonna find the Oregon Washingtons, the Colorado games most likely. The Stanford Colorado game you would have, but Washington State, Arizona. We're gonna get to Pac-12 in general and what that means for the country. There's a huge Oregon State, UCLA, huge games, and there's very little hype in the media and very little hype just locally about these teams. Let me just put it this way, Josiah. Over the weekend, I had a tweet go on national television I tweeted about Brady Cook, the quarterback at Missouri. And I was on there with the Solid Verbal and Jake Crane, two big name people. I don't know what I was doing on there, but it was really cool to see. I was on there. As well as I put a tweet out about Idaho football, about the Kibbe Dome, and they are doing things, and they retweeted that tweet. That's an FCS school. I tweet about Pac-12 and Mountain West football more than anything. Nothing. I have literally gotten nothing from any school from those.
No traction.
No traction, nothing. Not that I'm out seeking it. It just like the Brady Cook thing just happened. The Idaho thing just happened. I'm just tweeting what I'm thinking. Those schools and the SEC jump on board. Fresno State, Mountain West, Pac-12. What? Nothing. So, and the reason I say this because I'm a fan, they're not grabbing the fans. They have to pull in the fans. Let's make something happen.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I read all your tweets, and you rarely tweet about the SEC. One thing about the SEC, all of a sudden you're on ESPN.
Yeah.
And nobody retweets your stuff, and nobody with a big following. And one tweet about an FCS school.
Yeah.
You get retweeted by the school. I mean, well, I don't want to call out anybody, but anyways, yeah.
No, that's okay. You can. That's what it's for. We want to be honest, right? I don't want to just not lie. I want to be honest on this show. And it's really sad that I'll put it this way, and I may get in trouble for this. It's really sad when I do reporting on one school in particular, Fresno State, and I get almost zero traction when talking about Fresno State. And the SEC and an FCS school will go out of their way to get the fans involved and put that up there. It's great. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, the SEC and Missouri put that up there about my tweet. I am into Missouri now. That's all it took. Now I'm going to be watching every Missouri game. Right?
Yeah. I mean, look, at Fresno State and at other Mountain West schools, you guys need to be doing, and at Pac-12 schools. Yeah. No, you guys need to interact with the fans more, interact with stuff that's going on, social media, get like people who are doing podcasts or tweeting about you all the time, or that make YouTube videos about you or anything like that. Social media is the medium right now. So if there's people out there talking about you on social media, assuming it's at least vaguely positive, it's not just, oh, I hate this school, I hate this school, I hate this school. As long as it's not that, give these people like support, give them openings, give them stuff that you never would have given them before, because that's what you need to get a fan base. And if you give these people support, you can make a lot more money, because that's the whole thing is if you can get big on social media, people will want to watch your games. People will want to buy your merchandise. People will want to be fans.
I totally agree. And it's not about the number of followers anymore. It is if you're looking for ads. Okay. If you're looking for ads on your business, that is. But if you're looking to build a fan base, it's not about followers. It's about your interaction with the people interacting with your posts. That's what it is. Now, this has turned into a social media podcast, but you have to interact with the fan base. And if there's no interaction with the fan base, then you're not gonna get anything back. So, anyways, that does. Yeah. Let's get back to the Pac-12, because there a lot of stuff happened, but I want to talk about this, Josiah. We'll quickly run through. USC lost to Notre Dame, and they looked bad. Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions. Arizona crushes Washington State like 44-9. Unbelievable. Washington State was ranked. Oregon misses the field goal to tie the game, and Washington ends up winning that game. Oregon State beats UCLA. That was a battle of top 25 teams. The Pac-12, there's so much going on in the Pac-12, Josiah. Instead of talking about each individual game and things that happen, I want to talk about who do you see coming out of the Pac-12? USC lost to Notre Dame, but they're still undefeated in the Pac-12. Washington's undefeated. Oregon is a good team. Oregon State is a one-loss team. UCLA has a good defense. Utah is a one-loss team in the Pac-12. And Cam Rising's still not back. We'll see if he ever comes back. But it's loaded. There's so much that can happen. Arizona all of a sudden looks really good. And they gave USC a game, and now they crush Washington State. Is it a 2-team race between Washington and Oregon? Or do you see other schools getting in the mix, and who do you have coming out?
Okay, here's my take on the Pac-12. It's pretty simple. I think it's a 2-team race between Washington and Oregon. I think that USC is right behind them, but their defense is a high school defense, and anybody can score 40 points on them. So if they throw a couple interceptions, they're screwed. And that's why I think that they get up against Washington in 3 weeks. They get up against Oregon in like 4 or 5 or something. I think they drop both those games. I think Bo Nix and Michael Penix expose the USC defense that's already been exposed by everyone all year, and win the game. Other than that, I mean, I do think Arizona is a good team, but they've already dropped a game to Washington, and they don't play Oregon. Arizona, obviously, I don't think. Yeah. So they're not going to win anything significant, but big game for them against Washington State. That was really cool. There's a lot of good teams, I think, right now, like mid-tier teams in the Pac-12. I think there's a lot of like upper middle class teams, but but the only 2 elite teams, I think, are Oregon and Washington, and I think they are both very good teams. And I do still think that there is a small chance that they both make the playoff. And I would love to see it because they're both very good teams. I love both those teams. They're destroying right now. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that those are the 2 best teams, Oregon and Washington. It's a 2-team race. Both of them went out. We will see them play again in the Pac-12 championship. I will say this, though. Oregon State probably has the best chance out of any team in the Pac-12 to upset those teams and play for a Pac-12 championship. The Oregon State defense is tough. The Oregon State O-line is very good. And when DJU is on, he's a very good quarterback. He's been playing well. They have 2 very good running backs that behind that O-line. So if Oregon State puts 4 quarters together against in Oregon at the end of the season, and who knows if Oregon's going to be beat up and injured by the end of the season, they could win that game and spoil a lot of the season. This Pac-12 is going to cannibalize itself. They do it every year. I just hope they don't cannibalize themselves so much that no one is in the playoff picture. So
I agree.
We'll see.
Well, and a big game to watch. A big game to watch is upcoming this weekend. Oregon State versus Arizona. That should be a fun game. So
yeah, Arizona could play spoiler. They already have against Washington State. They're going to play spoiler this year as well. And don't forget about UCLA. UCLA has a very good defense. Dante Moore, their freshman quarterback, when he's on, he's on. He's young. He makes decisions and mistakes that you expect from a freshman. But when that kid figures it out, be ready. UCLA is going to be good again with Chip Kelly and that defense. Oh, man. I never thought I'd be talking about a Chip Kelly team and defense in the same sentence. But Chip Kelly's UCLA team is a good defensive team.
But yeah, no, watch the Pac-12 with interest. It's a good race.
The other conference that I'd like to talk about is the ACC, Josiah. So Louisville beats Notre Dame. They jump to number 14 in the country. Then they lose 38-21 to Pittsburgh. Of all teams, Pittsburgh. They have not been playing
Panthers.
Then we have North Carolina play Miami. Beat them by 10, 41-31. And then the team that everybody's watching is Florida State, number 4 in the country right now. Just destroy Syracuse 41-3. They're handling business. Before Louisville lost this game, I thought, wow, there could be a lot of things that happen in the ACC. We have Florida State, North Carolina, Louisville, all undefeated, and they could all finish undefeated. Then we have Miami, Duke, good ACC teams that could play spoiler. Well, now Louisville loses. Now it's down to North Carolina, Florida State. But has this ACC, tell me if I'm wrong here. The ACC has surprised everyone this year, I think, with their play. There's good teams in the ACC. We knew Florida State and North Carolina, but the rest of the schools, a little bit of a surprise.
I do think that Louisville was certainly a surprise. I didn't expect it personally. I'm very surprised they lost to Pittsburgh, whose only other win was against Wofford. But yeah, no, I mean, the ACC, Georgia Tech has been surprisingly mediocre.
Haynes King which is not bad.
No, I mean, I'm never going to call Georgia Tech more than mediocre, but I'll give them that this year. I mean, Miami's been awful. They've been okay outside of conference play, but in conference play they've been bad. But
that's coaching.
They did beat Texas A&M, but yeah, oh my gosh, the clock management from a couple weeks ago, that was a travesty. NC State and Clemson are struggling, but
they can still when they turn it on.
Good teams.
They can play. Yeah,
and
Duke is a good team. They will beat some people. So I think the ACC and the Pac-12 are two conferences that you really need to pay attention to. And the reason I bring up Pac-12 and ACC is because they can cannibalize themselves. You know, we look at the Big Ten, and we know there's 3 teams coming out of the Big Ten. It's Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. It's going to be those 3 teams. Big 12, it's Texas, Oklahoma. And then in the SEC, it's Georgia. And we'll see about Alabama, but they struggled against Arkansas, which I don't know if it's too surprising, but they struggled. But in the ACC and Pac-12, you have multiple teams with the ability to just beat up on each other. And I just pray that it doesn't turn into both of those conferences cannibalizing each other, and then we don't see any ACC or Pac-12 teams in the 14 playoff, because I'd like to see some, or at least chaos. I'd like for them to cause chaos. So yeah. Anyway, that's why I bring up Pac-12 and ACC. All right.
Yeah. No, I agree. I will say though, to transition a little bit to our next point. You're talking about the Big Ten. We know there's 3 good teams, but on the other side of the conference, there's only one team that's going to win the conference, and it's Iowa. surprisingly. Year to year, they win their side of the conference, not through any merit of their own, but through the demerits of their opponents. But that being said, I said it again.
We're going to have a tracker, just so everyone knows. Josiah and I have been talking about how we could get better and things like that. And Josiah's was, I say that being said a lot. So I think we need to have a ticker on the bottom of how many times Josiah says it. And just because I mentioned it to him the other day, he's going to say it more.
No, because I'm thinking about it.
And now everyone Josiah is going to notice it.
Yeah, now they're going to be listening for it. That's terrible.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, Iowa, they are currently 6-1, and you had mentioned that their receiver class, I should say, all their receivers put together, last week against Purdue, they played, no wide receiver recorded in a reception the entire game.
Mm-hmm. And the game before that.
Right. Well, I went through and I have all their games pulled up right now. And let me tell you, the QB ratings for Iowa this whole year, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, I'm looking at, let's see.
Cade McNamara transferred from Michigan to Iowa. He didn't play this last game because he's injured. But I do want to say, Cade McNamara, who was a Big 12 champion, Big 10 champion at Michigan, has been playing the past couple games.
Yes.
Or started the season. Go ahead, Josiah.
So, yeah. Let me see. It's right here. So, their first game, Utah State, Cade McNamara played, 36.3 QB rating. Not great. Not a great quarterback rating. That's one of the better ones of the season. No. Cade McNamara the next week played against Iowa State, and this is the best one of the season. He got 49.2 quarterback rating. That's his best. That's his best one of the entire season for any quarterback that threw more than like 3 passes. His next week against Western Michigan.
It was against a rival. That's good.
Yeah, it's true. And then against Western Michigan, Cade McNamara started, had a 13.1 QB rating.
No.
Yes. Then the next week, playing against Penn State, 36.1. Actually, the best, the second best one, I believe, of the year. Yeah. Then Michigan State, the next week, Deacon Hill started. He had 23.8 QB rating. And Cade McNamara threw 5 passes and came out of it with a 26.3 QB rating. Then against Purdue, this is last week, Deacon Hill started, had a quarterback rating of 2. 2.0.
No
and
way.
Then this week against Wisconsin, Deacon Hill had a quarterback rating of 6.2. And I think that really rounds out what we have been saying about Iowa for about the past forever. If they ever want to have any success on offense, Kirk Ferentz needs to put a blinder on. Like, defense stays over here, offense stays over here. Kirk Ferentz can have less than nothing to do with the offense. In fact, what should happen is Kirk Ferentz should call the plays, and then whatever is the exact opposite of that play, they run it.
Well, his son
That's
is
what
the
should
OC.
happen.
Brian
I know.
Ferentz.
I believe Brian Ferentz is no longer the offensive coordinator at Iowa. I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna check right now. I thought I had remembered him. Oh no, I take it back. He's still there.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's still there. Why is he there?
Yeah, he has to score. I think they have to average so many points this year. And against Wisconsin last week, they scored 1 touchdown, and it was a big run that they broke. Williams broke it. They got a safety. They got a couple field goals. Offenses, and that's against a Wisconsin team. It's a good Wisconsin team, by the way. But, or I should say, it's a better Wisconsin team than last year. I don't know if I want to say good, But you have to score points. You can't. They scored 15 points. And they won the game. Unbelievable. Their defense is so good. You're right. Brian Ferentz is probably not going to have a job, or definitely not the OC job next year. Kirk Ferentz, you should know your son more than any of us. You should know what he's good at. I know you gave him a shot last year at OC. Didn't work out well. When someone doesn't do well at their job, you change it. It's okay.
Agreed.
It's okay. Being the best tight end coach or best QB coach in the country, that is good. That's good. You don't have to promote everyone to OC. We're going to get to Josh McDaniels and the Raiders in a sec, and I'm going to rip them. And I have the same argument for them. Being a good coordinator or positions coach is just fine. Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, please figure that out.
Dude, and let me tell you, I'm looking at right now. So his contract appointments are, first of all, he had a pay drop, which doesn't really hurt him, but they have to average 25 points per game and reach 7 wins for Brian Ferentz to keep his job. Now, they only need one more win for him to meet that contract appointment. But remember, the big one is they have to average 25 points a game. So far, they are actually averaging 21 points per game. But that is not enough for him to keep his job. So in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they have to score around 30 points a game to offset what
no way.
What they've
30
done
points a game.
Point.
And by the way,
close
those
to
teams
that.
are.
I didn't do the math on it, but
okay. Those teams are Minnesota, Northwestern, Rutgers, Illinois, and Nebraska. They are gonna get lucky because the last 5 games are not. I mean, Minnesota, Northwestern, Illinois. They should score that many points on them. Rutgers and Nebraska, decent teams. Actually, Minnesota's got a decent defense. They could struggle, but this is the best thing that could happen to them to end with those 5 games. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well,
and
to Brian Ferentz, who, by the way, if you're an Iowa fan, not to be too mean to a specific person, but you should be hoping that he loses his job. He's a bad offensive coordinator, and even if he manages to score 25 points, once again, it's not by any merit of his own. It's by the demerits of his opponents. And he should not have this job.
If he makes it, it's going to be because of the defense. They're going to have about 3 pick sixes in the game, and they're going to score 50 points based off the defense scoring.
Well, remember, I said that they played Western Michigan, which is the highest scoring game. It's a huge thing for them. They've only won 2 games this entire season have they actually scored 25 points or more. And one was against Western Michigan where they scored 41 points.
That's huge.
And yeah, it's huge for them. They had 1 field goal and 4 touchdowns. 3 of those touchdowns were, they had 5 touchdowns. Look at that. Anyways, 3 of those touchdowns were rushing. 2 of those touchdowns were through the air. And Western Michigan has allowed tons of points every single week. It's not a strong showing to put up 41 points on Western Michigan is my point.
Right.
They don't have a good offense. They shouldn't be able to score 25 points every week because they haven't been able to. Only one other time they scored 25 or more, and it was 26. And so they're not. It's not a good offense. They need a new offensive coordinator. It's not looking good.
All right, last thing for college football, and then we were going to move into NFL. Just a fun story here. Purdue had a student come out during a timeout and kick 3 field goals. Went 3 for 3, and the last field goal being from 40 yards. In the game, Purdue's kicker, who is their backup kicker, by the way, it's a freshman kicker because their starter was hurt. Their freshman kicker comes in and goes 0 for 3 and one of them he missed was like 26 yards. I just had to throw.
I feel bad for the guy, admittedly. Like, there is pressure when you're in the game. Admittedly, like, there's definitely pressure, and like he's a young kid, so like I feel bad for him, but that's really funny.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, let's move on to the NFL. A lot of fun games actually in the NFL this week. By the way, tonight, Cowboys are playing the Chargers. I do want to put out there, I think the Cowboys and the Chargers are two of the most overrated teams in the NFL. People do not like it when I say that. I get it. Justin Herbert's good. The Chargers are always good. They never perform well. The Cowboys are always rumored to be good, never perform well, always two of the most overrated teams in the NFL. But let's get to the Sunday games. And I want to start with that there are no more undefeated teams. The 49ers and the Eagles both lost. And let's start with the 49ers, Josiah. PJ Walker starts for the Browns because Deshaun Watson is out with an injury. The Browns win 19-17. Most of the talk that I have already heard is about Brock Purdy saying he is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Or I have heard, and I've heard the opposite, like Brock Purdy is actually very good. I've heard more of that Brock Purdy is not a starting quarterback. Brock Purdy had a poor game, but I want to put this out there. He still put them in the position to win the game at the end, and their rookie kicker, Jake Moody, missed. They should have won the game. Their defense was fine. They had 2 interceptions. They picked off PJ Walker twice. But Amari Cooper crushed them. By the way, the Browns, Nick Chubb is out, so they did this without Nick Chubb. They did this with Ford and Hunt.
Yep.
I think this speaks more about the defense of the 49ers, I do, than the 49ers offense. I know they struggled, but they still had the opportunity to win. Brock Purdy is good. He's going to be just fine. What are your thoughts on this, Josiah?
People attacking Brock Purdy need to leave him alone, dude. They don't know what they're talking about. Go look at his stats for the year. Dude hasn't thrown an interception until this week. He didn't throw a single interception all season until this week, and he threw one against the Browns, and they lost. That's bad. If you can't allow your quarterback to slip up one time, or else you're going to lose, then it's not on your quarterback. It's on everyone else. Like, I might even say Brock Purdy's been carrying them to these wins. I mean, he had 113 rate or 111 rating or 94 QB rating. I don't know what the RTG is. I'm confused now. Anyways, he had a 94.1 QB rating against the Steelers, 144 against the Cowboys, who were supposed to be really good, 134 against the Cardinals, 57. Am I reading the wrong thing here? This is so confusing the way they have this set up.
Either way, Brock Purdy has performed at a high level his entire career with the 49ers. This is his first loss as a starter.
First loss as a starter in which he didn't like tear his meniscus or something like that. I think he did lose one where he went out halfway through the game because he like tore his meniscus or something like that. But in games that he has actually played the whole game, this is his first loss. 49ers fans, you've been spoiled by Brock Purdy. If you're against him, then go cheer for a different team because he is the best quarterback you've got. He should be your starter. In fact, I would hazard saying he is a legitimate starting quarterback, and I think he should keep this job. I don't think they should be looking elsewhere. I think they should be looking elsewhere on their team to improve.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, we saw Trent Williams got banged up this game. Let me just put it this way. We all watched Trey Lance play. And at the beginning of the season, after the first game or so, I heard people on the radio and things, we got to put Trey Lance in. We got to put Trey Lance got a shot. It was terrible. Yeah. Trey Lance that wasn't going to work. So you can't tell me that Brock Purdy is a system guy, because if he's a system guy, then anybody else you should be able to plug into the system and have success. With Trey Lance, that didn't happen. He's not even on your team anymore. The 49ers found him so bad, they traded him to the Cowboys, who the Cowboys are overrated, and the 49ers crushed them.
Yep.
So Brock Purdy is not a system quarterback. He gets the job done. Does he make ill-advised throws? Yes, just like Josh Allen, who's considered one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. We'll get to that in a second. Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. The 49ers are going to be just fine. Do not freak out, Niners fans. And the rest of the media, please do not say anything about Brock Purdy not being an NFL quarterback. He is their starter, and he will continue to be their starter until they find it. I think the only person that could take Brock Purdy's job is an elite quarterback at the level of Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, things like that, because he is very good. He's at the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the league right now.
I agree. Honestly, I feel like people supported him as a meme at the beginning because it was like, what was the name of that other guy? It doesn't matter. There's another guy who, for a while, he was winning a bunch of games, and everyone was like supporting him. Was like, oh yeah, he's like a rookie. Oh, he's winning. Oh wow. And then everyone was like, no. And then everyone was like, okay, well now the starter's not injured again. Let's sit him, guys. Let's sit him. He's not that good. He beat some bad teams. We were all excited, but let's sit him. I think it was kind of the same thing for Brock Purdy, but
Tyrod Taylor is on.
Yeah. And yes. Yeah, I think it was the same thing for Brock Purdy, but I don't think it should be because I think he's a legitimate starting quarterback. Keep starting him. That being said about Tyrod Taylor.
Ding.
Yes. And Daniel Jones may have caught the bug.
Yes. So we're going to get to all the hometown teams in a second. So we're going to touch on the California teams and the Atlanta Falcons. That's what Josiah and I are going to be doing since those hometown teams. But I want to talk about the Sunday night game real quick. It was Giants versus Bills, and we brought up Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, and Josh Allen in that rant. So we got to talk about them right now. The Tyrod Taylor juju, Josiah and I discovered years ago, and that is every time Tyrod Taylor comes into a game, either he gets injured or there's a rookie behind him that they end up wanting to start. So they start that player, or Tyrod Taylor gets injured, the backup comes in, and they always perform well. Daniel Jones finally gets the Tyrod Taylor juju, or the curse of Tyrod Taylor in a good way, the good curse of Tyrod Taylor. So now, don't worry. When Daniel Jones comes back, he's going to perform at a high level that he was last season. They needed this game. But the Giants were up 9-0, Josiah, going into the fourth quarter.
Well, they were actually up 6-0. Then the Bills scored, and then they were up 9-7.
Right. Then the Bills go on and score, and they go up 14-9, and the Giants get an opportunity to win the game on the goal line, and a very controversial non-call was made where, in my opinion, it was holding and PI against Darren Waller in the end zone. They threw him the ball. It was a no call. Bills go down and end up winning the game. And Josh Allen, I will add this. I talk about risk takers and ill-advised throws. Josh Allen made a very risky, ill-advised throw into a double team. He threw it 1,000,000 miles an hour. That's probably why it was completed. The guy caught it, fell into the end zone. And Josh Allen, though, mentioned at the end of the game press conference, or on the field presser, that he needs to perform better. So he knows. But is there any chance, Josiah, that you think the Bills can keep this up? They're 4-2 right now, but Josh Allen plays so up and down to the level of competition of the defense that he's playing. It's so hard for me to get on board and say this Bills team can still compete at the highest level with in the AFC, with the Chiefs, with whatever team comes out of the AFC, because the AFC was so hyped this year, but now I feel like it's down, and now we're talking about NFC teams. But anyways, do you think the Bills can compete at the highest level in the NFL still?
I do. I do think that Josh Allen, he likes to play risky, and that could come back to bite him in the butt, but playing risky over a long period of time will make you better at playing risky. So maybe he just keeps getting better at it, I mean, taking risks isn't bad. It's taking really bad risks that's bad.
Dumb.
Don't throw it, 60 yards into triple coverage when instead you could throw it 10 yards to a wide open running back, or whatever. Like, don't do dumb stuff. But if you think you can do it, I mean, I do think Josh Allen's a really good quarterback. So I would be okay with trusting him to make some risky throws, take some risks. And yeah, the Bills, they look pretty good. I like James Cook, Georgia boy.
Yeah.
I like Stephon Diggs, drafted him as a rookie in fantasy football and then traded him away before he moved away from the Vikings. So that was upsetting. I actually think I gave him your brother, but I don't know how he ended up on your team. But anyways, yeah, so basically, yeah, I do think the Bills can win. They do take risks. I think their biggest thing is they just need to focus on their defense, make sure their defense does well, let Josh Allen take the risks he's going to take because he's a good quarterback, and where else are you going to find a better quarterback than Josh Allen?
Right. That was my main point too, is you're not going to find much better than Josh Allen, and when he's performing at a high level, they are one of the better teams. All right, let's go through the California teams, and then we'll get to your Atlanta Falcons, Josiah. Raiders played the Patriots. They won 21-17. Max Crosby had a big game. But I want to say this. Jimmy G was hurt, so Hoyer starts. So it's basically the current Patriots, Bill Belichick's Patriots, versus the old Patriots with Josh McDaniels and Hoyer and all these guys.
Garoppolo and
but there's a rumor.
Jacoby Myers.
All former Patriots. There's a rumor going around that the Raiders want to trade Hunter Renfrow. Are you kidding me?
Why?
Why? Hunter, okay, I was a Raiders fan. I was. Now I'm just an NFL fan, a football fan when it comes to NFL. I was a Raiders fan because Derek Carr was there and Devontae Adams is there, big Fresno State guy, right? Then Josh McDaniels gets hired. First things first, can I just say this? The ownership of the Raiders has been terrible. They draft poorly, and then you hire a guy and you don't do your homework. Josh McDaniels has not had a winning record as head coach ever. He was fired from the Broncos because he was so bad. Then you hire him, and his relationship with Derek Carr immediately goes sour, and they do him dirty, and you just brought in Devontae Adams, probably the best wide receiver in the league, to pair up with his old quarterback, and you can't figure it out. And you still can't figure it out. The game before the Patriots, I think he had 4 or 5 targets. Excuse me? He's always open. Aaron Rodgers said it. He's always open. You need to look at him. They're not looking at him. And the reason is because Josh McDaniels calls a play. Derek Carr talked about this. He calls a play and he does not expect you to audible because he knows the right thing to do. So, first, Josh McDaniels is terrible. That's the key behind this conversation. I had this conversation with myself. But Josh McDaniels is terrible. You do not trade Hunter Renfrow. He was so good with Derek Carr. His route running is very good. He has good possession hands. He catches the ball and holds on to it. And then, well, I'll just leave it there. I'll turn it over to you, Josiah, before I lose it, before I go too long.
Look. Josh McDaniels, the Raiders organization has been, all right, I've watched them slowly descend into dumpster fire territory over the past, 4 years. The Raiders, okay, they were looking better, right? They looked like they were getting a little bit better. Derek Carr had been the quarterback for a long time. They looked like they were getting a little bit better going into the 2021 season, 2022. It was looking okay. And then they hired Josh McDaniels, which I think everyone was a little confused about, right? Because he's never had a winning record. He sucks as a head coach. He's not a good coach. And then he starts to do all kinds of crap that doesn't make any sense. Derek Carr has been at the Raiders for a long time. He's been a good quarterback. He's been at least a serviceable quarterback, right?
Let me tell you this.
Level, I'd say most of the time.
Yeah. No O-line. One of the worst defenses I think they ranked the time that Derek Carr was there, Raiders had the worst defense ever over the past 10 years, in a 10-year span. They were ranked as the worst defense ever in that 10-year span.
Yeah. So they terrible defenses every year, terrible offensive line basically every year. Never had any superstar receivers or running backs really. Never really had any superstar offensive pieces around him. Derek Carr has always been a good quarterback for the Raiders. Is my point. He immediately doesn't like Derek Carr, doesn't get along with him, gets rid of Derek Carr, brings in Jimmy Garoppolo, who used to play for him, but has never played well and gets injured every year. And I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I don't know if you can tell. Jimmy G. I don't think he should be a starting quarterback. I just don't, because he's too fragile. Dude gets injured every single year. But no, I just see him do all kinds of things, like bring in Devontae Adams, which is great, and then completely mismanagement. That's a great sign of a bad organization. When you bring in a really good player and don't know what to do with him, can't do anything with him, that's a bad sign for Raiders fans. And then getting rid of Derek Carr, that was a mess. I don't know why Josh McDaniels is still there. They need to get rid of him. They need to either sell their pieces or get a new quarterback and start building around him.
Yeah.
And
now they did win though. But
they did win, but it doesn't matter. Josh McDaniels the Patriots are probably the worst team in the league right now. Like they're one of.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. All right. We could go on forever.
Yeah, wanting to trade Hunter Renfrow, I just like throwing my piece on that. Stupid. That's all I'm going to say about it. He's a good receiver, and I bet the Patriots will take him if you want to trade him. He's a short white receiver. Patriots will probably take him. You might be able to get a first even out of it. Well,
true. I don't know, but Rams beat the Cardinals 26-9. Cooper Kupp gets his first touchdown of the season. 7 receptions, 148 yards. They ran the ball very well. Williams had 20 carries for 158 yards and a touchdown. Rams they're good. I mean, they played the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't that great. Joshua Dobbs got the start. It's just not exactly the team I would be excited about beating. The Rams didn't have the greatest start this year. They haven't, but this is a good win. This will get them back on track. Cooper Kupp with a touchdown and the good running game. They're going to be okay. I do want to talk about the Saints really quick, Josiah, because Derek Carr is there. A lot of people in my world are big Derek Carr fans. Also, Jake Haener is there, and Jordan Mims, who got called up for this game off the practice squad and was dressed out and was on special teams duties. They lose to the Texans. So this probably is less of a Saints conversation and more of a Texans conversation, because, oh my gosh, CJ Stroud actually looks good, very competent, very smart, well-educated on NFL, and is playing at a high level right now. His first interception of the season came in this game. Just like Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud has been playing great. We've had very little talk about him. Texans and Saints now moved to 3-3 after that game. Both of them 3-3. I guess we have to talk about Derek Carr a little bit. He threw for 353 yards, a touchdown, interception. I think people wanted more from the Saints offense. Only scoring 13 points, settling for field goals. At the same time, like the Texans, I actually believe in this year. There's a possibility that they win their division. Am I crazy? I mean, the Jaguars are probably the best team, and they beat the Colts. But Texans look decent. I don't know.
No, you're not crazy. I think the Jaguars do win it, but I think that the Texans have a slight chance. They do play the Jaguars later in the year, and I could see them. They lost 37-17 when they played them earlier, but they could come back and they could beat them. I could see it happening. I don't think you're crazy at all. CJ Stroud has been playing really well, and he's a rookie quarterback. So the further into the year he goes, he should learn more and more. So maybe next time they meet him, they beat him.
Mm-hmm. Last game before we get to the Falcons, the Jets played the Eagles yesterday. The Jets won 20-14 in the Eagles' perfect season. Jalen Hurts had 3 interceptions. This is what the Jets defense does. they make, and Coach Sala said it, they make every quarterback look bad. And they did that. Now, the other thing is that I believe there should be some credit going to Zach Wilson. This is the first time ever. This is going to surprise you guys. This is the first time ever the Jets have beaten the Eagles. Ever. In the history of
the NFL.
Yeah, this is the first time the Jets ever beat the Eagles. I didn't believe it at first. It's the first time they beat them. And their starting quarterback is Zach Wilson. Yes, they have a great defense. But you have to give Zach Wilson some credit here. I don't know, Josiah. What do you think about that?
I think Zach Wilson gets credit for not screwing it up. I don't think he's a starting quarterback. I don't think he's Brock Purdy. I don't think he's C.J. Stroud. But I credit to him for not screwing it up. I think the Jets need to rely on their defense right now. Their game plan this year was let's have a good defense and Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
That lasted for 70 seconds. So then their whole game plan went out the window, and then Zach Wilson had to fill in for one of the best quarterbacks in the
history of the NFL. Yeah.
History of the NFL. Like, yeah, it's a rough big shoes to fill. And he's not that great a quarterback. And I think he'll be a perennial backup.
Okay. I'll say this. No quarterback was going to be good behind this New York Jets offensive line. The O-line is terrible at the Jets. And that's why Aaron Rodgers got hurt, because the O-line is so bad. Zach Wilson did have a touchdown pass that was nice. I mean, he fit it right in there. He went 19 for 33 for 186 yards. Was it called back, though? I don't remember. But he was sacked 5 times.
Wow.
And that is a lot of sacks. I think that's the point of this whole conversation is the O-line is bad.
They need to work on their offensive line.
Yeah, no one is going to be successful behind this offensive line. But I think when we talk about game managers, this is the guy who's going to have to manage games, Zach Wilson, because they're going to be in every game because of their defense.
Well, right. What I'd like to see from Zach Wilson in this situation is taking leadership and saying, okay, guys, I know the throws I can make. I know what I can do. This is what's going to happen. We're going to do a lot of little checkdowns. We're not going to have a lot of time. The offensive line isn't super developed right now. We're not going to have a lot of time. We got to make some short passes. We got to do a lot of checkdowns. And then when they start guarding against only checkdowns and short passes, then air it out a couple of times, make them stay honest. But like, Zach Wilson needs to take some leadership and be honest with himself and say, like, hey, this is what I can do. And this is the only way we're going to win. So this is what we're going to do. And tell communicate with the offensive coordinator. Be like, okay, this is what I feel. I don't feel comfortable with that. I feel comfortable with this. Don't do this. Don't do this. He just needs to take, and look, could it lose him his job? Maybe, but he's just going to prolong his job by maybe a couple more weeks if he doesn't do it, because he's going to lose games. He's not going to look good doing it. So I think Zach Wilson needs to take some leadership, and that's what I'd like to see right now.
Yeah, and I got to correct myself. It wasn't a touchdown. It was a 2-point conversion. He had a good, nice completion to Randall Cobb on a 2-point conversion that I liked. So the Jets beat the Eagles. That's a big win. And I think if you watch Hard Knocks, you saw that how Aaron Rodgers coaching up the young guys, and he's being a mentor to them. They're going to be just fine. Just wait until Aaron Rodgers gets back, but work on that offensive line. All right, last but not least, Josiah, let's talk about your Falcons. They lose to the Commanders 24-16. Desmond Ridder threw for over 300 yards, but had 3 interceptions. I mean, Drake London looked good, but man, Sam Howell actually looked really good in this game. What's the deal with the Falcons? They're 3-3. Is Desmond Ridder the guy?
I don't know, honestly. Desmond Ridder definitely needs some more development.
We'll say Cal Pitts got a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this, as much as I hated taking Bijan Robinson in the first round, which I still 100%, I hate the fact that they took Bijan Robinson in the first round. But as much as I hated that, he's doing well. And actually, him and Tyler Algier are both doing well. And I think they need to keep using them as much as they can. Bijan Robinson actually has yet to score a rushing touchdown, which is interesting. But he does have some receiving ones. But they're using their weapons well. Desmond Ridder definitely needs some more development. I don't know if he will be the guy or not, but if he is, he won't be till next year.
Right. All right. We're going to finish this up by going to baseball and then soccer. And then I got to get to work. But Rangers beat the Astros 2-0 in the first game of the ALCS. We'll talk more baseball once the World Series hits. Isn't that terrible to say, Josiah? But it's hard. It's hard. But
I mean, look, I just don't know that much about baseball. And I don't care about the Rangers or the Astros. Sorry, guys. I know the Astros got a championship taken away from them, but
good. All right, let's talk about some football, or soccer as we call it here. The USA national team had a friendly against Germany, and we talked about it last episode that Weston McKinney came out and said, hey, look, we're looking to win these games. Greg Berhalter is back after all the drama that we've had with him. So he's back coaching. Gio Reyna, by the way, started. He had some drama with him, and Reyna played. But the United States loses 3-1. We had an early lead. Christian Pulisic just had a beauty of a goal. But then I think the story of this game is defense. Our defense looked so bad. Our right center back, I forget his name, but Scaly on the outside where Robinson usually plays, looked slow. He wasn't energetic. They did a lot of ball watching. Honestly, the U.S. defense against Germany looked like when I was coaching middle school basketball, or coaching the little kids basketball. Everybody's just ball watching or running, not even running to the ball, just watching the ball, just watching. That was our defense. It was very poor. I thought Matt Turner had a decent game. I thought he did a good job. The ones he saved, he made a good effort on. A couple of them, he just couldn't get there. And I'm completely blaming it on our defense. It was poor. Piss poor defense. What was your thoughts after watching that game?
No, I agree. One of my friends referred to what happened as Berhalter ball. Me, Caleb, and everyone else I know are not big fans of Greg Berhalter. No. We don't think he's the guy to be coaching the U.S. national team. And the reason for that is, and I've probably said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, that the temporary coach that we hired while Greg Berhalter was away for some reason, I can't remember why, the temporary coach, the temporary replacement we hired, did better than Berhalter by every measurable statistic that I'm aware of. And the biggest one being wins. So, yeah. I don't know why we got rid of him. I'd like him to come back, and I'd like Greg Berhalter to go away again forever. Don't bring him back. He's not a good coach. He's not the one for us. Please hire someone else.
Yeah, I understand it's a friendly, but when the players come out and say, "Look, we're looking to win this game," the coach needs to put them in the best position to win the game, or at least bring confidence to the team. Put the best players out there. And I want to add, Brendan Aronson. He was a sub this game. Brendan Aronson, every time he comes in the game, I love the way he plays. He brings a ton of energy. He's an attacker. We have to score goals, right? We struggle to score goals outside of Christian Pulisic. So we need somebody else to score goals. Give me someone with energy who's going to give us opportunities, just get balls in the box, create set pieces like Brandon Aronson. He comes in, takes on 5 guys by himself while the rest of us just watch. Gets fouled, sets up a set piece, a free kick where he took it. It wasn't a good take, but at least he's setting up those opportunities. So I want to see more minutes from Brendan Aronson. I want to see our coach Berhalter, if he's going to be the coach, give me the players that give us opportunities, create chances, right? That's all I want. I don't want to watch other players watching. That's what I felt like. I felt like we were just watching. Our midfield was subpar. Our defense was bad. Between the goalposts, USA usually has no problems. Matt Turner's a good goalie. And then Christian Pulisic. But give me some players. Pepe came in. Let's get Pepe in there. Have him go get ahead on the ball. We need something to happen on the United States team, and give me the players that make those things happen. That's how I'm going to leave it there, Josiah.
Absolutely. No, I'm good on that. Last thing is little update on our boys over at Yeovil Town FC.
Yep.
They won. They won against South End United 2-0 to advance to the first round of the FA Cup. And I'm super excited to see them in the FA Cup. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch any games because I haven't figured out where to watch them yet, but hoping I get to.
We're keeping up on their YouTube channel. And let's see, Jack Wannell and Jordan Young were the two goal scorers. Jack is a center back, and it was coming off a corner, and it bounced out to him, and he volleyed that thing like none other right into the back of the net. It was a great goal, that first goal. So if you're not a soccer fan, just promise me this. You'll check out Yeovil Town. You're hop on the bandwagon now. That's why we're starting this. Hop on the bandwagon now. There's going to be a collection of Yeovil Town fans in the United States, starting with West Nale Virus. So just tell someone to tune into Yeovil Town right after they tune into the episode of West Nale Virus. So big win for Yeovil, 2-0 over South End United. Go Glovers. All right. That's going to do it, Josiah. Thank you. We will be here Wednesday once again, and we will be talking about Monday Night Football, where there's some Tuesday night college football games that we're going to have to cover, and the outlook of those conferences we'll be talking about, as well as a little more on the baseball updates, and we'll see if anything happens where we feel strongly enough to talk about them. And prayers to Brock Bowers so he can get better. I love watching good players play football. And Mac Delana on the Fresno State football team, he got a concussion. We're struggling with injuries over here.
Oh my gosh! By the way, real quick, that should have been a targeting. Refs, what are you doing?
Twice by the same player. Twice, nothing.
Yeah.
Anyways,
nothing.
All right. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy. We will talk to you Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.